Okay, right. So I am live. We're going to be looking at cells today and biology. So we're going to do some science. So I'm just going to wait for some people to arrive. So give me a shout out if you are here. So we're going to be running 3 sessions over the next couple of weeks. And I'm going to be doing some science with you. So today's session will be an introduction to cells, and then we're going to move on to blood cells over the next couple of weeks. So I can see people watching this. Can you give me a shout out so I know that you can hear me? And I'm going to share my screen so you can see the items that you're going to be needing for today. Right, so we are going to need colored paper. We're going to need some white paper as well. So I've got some white paper underneath here. So white paper, colored paper, felt tips, and we're going to need glue and some scissors. And I'm also going to put in here a pencil because we probably will need that at some point as well. Right, so if you are ready, give me a shout out to say that you are ready to get started. And then we're going to be doing some work on cells. So everyone can take part. And we can have some fun, and we're going to also be doing some Kung Fu science as well. So can someone say that they can hear me? Who can hear me? Guys, give me a shout out. I want you to engage with me because it's not going to work otherwise. It's only a fun session if you guys engage. So we're going to be looking at animal cells and plant cells. So the first thing that I want you to do is to grab your white piece of paper. So let's grab the white piece of paper. So let's move all of this out of the way. And I'm going to have my white piece of paper here. Okay, so this is going to be the basis that I'm going to create everything on. And we're going to be looking at the 2 different types of cells. There are plant cells and there are animal cells. So I'm going to grab some yellow. I think yellow will look really cool. And on this piece of paper, I'm going to draw on here what an animal cell looks like. So let's grab a felt tip pen. You can use a pencil if you like. And I'm going to draw, and this is just going to be a blob. So a blob like this. Okay, so this is going to be the basis of my animal cell. And this here is called the cytoplasm. Okay, so this here is called the cytoplasm. So can you draw that on your piece of paper? And then on the other side over here, and a plant cell is slightly different. It has a little bit of a shape to it. And we're going to draw a rectangular shape, but it's going to have curved edges like this. Okay, you don't want to draw this too small. Around about this size is fine. Then I need you to grab your scissors and we're going to cut this out. Okay, so the cytoplasm is where all the chemical reactions happen. So this yellow stuff that we've drawn here is your cytoplasm. So let's cut all around this. And I'm going to then stick this on my piece of paper in a second. So cell biology, you don't tend to learn until you're at secondary school. So you tend to learn this in year 7, but we're going to do this early. So even if you're in primary, I think you guys can take part in this because it's nice and fun. So let's cut around this. And we are going to have our plant cell. Okay. Animal cell, sorry. This is our plant cell. And I think I'm going to have to put labels on a piece of paper so I know the difference between the 2. So here we're going to cut this out. And I'm going to put this on my piece of paper. So you can be doing this as I'm doing it because I'm doing it live. So you should be able to follow my instructions and do this at the same time. So let's place this over here. So at the top over here, I'm going to write cells. And there's 2 types of cells that we're going to be looking at today. So the first one is going to be animal. And I'm going to do this in bubble writing. So we have cells. And you can have lots of fun. I think science is so fun. You can make it all arty and make it into project work. So we've got cells over here, and we've got 2 types of cells. So I'm going to draw an arrow going this way and an arrow going this way. And on the left, I'm going to write animal. So here, this is going to be an animal cell. So animal cell. And then on the right, I'm going to have a plant cell. So I've got two different types of cells here. Well, I've only got one, so I'm just going to write that as cell, not cells. So this here is the cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm is where all the chemical reactions happen. Now, what I like to do is I tend to use analogies to actually explain how different parts of the cells work. Okay, so we're going to start off with some analogies and then we're going to come back to this in a second. So let's imagine that our cell is like an office. So imagine this is an office. Okay, what do we have in an office? Well, the main thing that we need in an office to make sure that it functions well is that we need the boss of the office. Now, the boss is the person that controls everything that the workers do, right? So if you are the boss of a company, you're going to be controlling what everyone in the company is going to be doing. Now, the boss is like the nucleus. We have something in our office, which is circular in the center here, and that's going to be our nucleus. So I'm going to grab a piece of colored paper. Let's see, shall I have, actually with this one, I'm going to draw. So I'm going to grab some blue felt tip pens and I'm going to draw here. This doesn't even look blue. Let's draw, let's see, get a lighter blue. I think I'm going to just cut it out, I think, because I can't seem to get a blue color there. So I've got a light blue color over here. Let's cut this out. So this is going to be my nucleus. So the nucleus is equivalent to a boss in an office. So I'm going to cut this out into a little circle. And that's going to go here. That is my nucleus. I'm going to do another one over here. I'm going to cut this out and we are going to stick this over here. So this is like the boss of myself. This is a nucleus, the boss of the office. So nucleus decides what's going to happen in the cell. Nucleus is like the control center. It is able to tell the workers what to do. And the workers are this cytoplasm, which is all the way around here in the cell. So I'm going to stick this down. Where's my glue? Let's stick this bit down, guys. And we're going to have some glue. Let's stick it down over here. So this here is our nucleus. And we've got another nucleus over here. So these features are the same in both an animal and a plant cell at the moment. So this here is a nucleus as well. Okay. And the nucleus is like having a boss that controls everything in the cell. Oh, I can just see your messages now, guys. I couldn't see it earlier. Brilliant. So I can see Charlotte's watching and Agnes is watching. Brilliant. So let's then have a look at the next bit then. So we have the nucleus, the boss of the cell. And I like to do a nice little action to go with it. So if you can see me in the camera on the top right, we're going to do some actions to go with this. So when I say nucleus, you're going to go the boss. Or if I say the boss, you're going to go nucleus. The nucleus is the boss. It controls what's happening in the cell. Okay. And then we've got the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm are the workers. The workers will be doing all the hard work. And in the case of a cell, that's the place where all the chemical reactions happen. Okay, so they're very important. So your body can function well because the cytoplasms are doing their thing. So here we have the nucleus, we have the cytoplasm. Let's have a look at what else we have in this cell. Now, in this particular cell, we have a boundary. Okay, so imagine the cell is like a jelly. it's going to be moving, and we need to have some sort of boundary which stops it from just turning into like a gooey slime that just spreads everywhere. So we have this boundary over here, and we call this the cell membrane. Okay, the cell membrane is really important. It allows things to enter and to leave the cell. So let's do a little recap. We've got the nucleus. The nucleus is like the boss. It controls the cell. It tells the workers what they need to do. The cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is like having workers in the office. Okay, this is where all the chemical reactions happen, or if you're looking at it from an office perspective, this is where all the workers are doing all the hard work. Then you have the cell membrane. Now, if we use the analogy of an office, it's like having windows and doors. Okay, they allow things to come in and go out of the cell. So this here is like having windows and doors which allow things to come in and go out. And this is the cell membrane. So we've got three different things here: nucleus, cytoplasm, cell membrane. Now we've got the equivalent over here as well on the plant cell. We've got the nucleus, we've got the cytoplasm, we've got the cell membrane all the way around. Okay, so at the moment, both of these cells look identical, except that this looks like a little blob and this looks more like a rectangular shape. Now, what we're going to do is to add some labels to explain these three features first before we move on to the differences that a plant cell has. So what I'm going to do over here is grab my blue piece of paper. Mine's just like a thin piece of card. I'm just going to get rid of this strip so I've got a straight edge over here. And I'm going to create some little flaps. And in each one, I'm going to write one feature of the cell. So I'm going to cut this out. So we're going to create some little flaps. So we're going to create 3 flaps. And we're going to have 1, 2. I've actually got 4. I can use 1 later. We need 3 for now. Okay, we're going to write some information in here. So one's going to be the nucleus, one's going to be the cytoplasm, and the third one's going to be the cell membrane. So we're going to start off first by calling this the boss. So I'm going to write over here the boss. So remember, the boss of the cell is the nucleus. So inside over here, I'm going to write nucleus. My spelling is a bit awful, guys. So if you catch a spelling mistake, do kind of tell me so I can correct it. So here we can do N-U, let me just check. It is going to be C-L-U-S. C-L-E-U-S, nucleus. This controls the cell. So I'm going to write over here, controls the cell. Okay, and I'm going to put this in a place where I'll be able to label both. I'm going to stick these down in a second. Right, next one we're going to have is the workers. So I'm going to write over here, the workers. Remember what we said, the cytoplasm is the workers in this particular office. So I'm going to write over here, cytoplasm. Cytoplasm. And I love using the analogy of an office because it helps you describe what's happening, especially when we get onto the other features of the plant cell. Now, the cytoplasm is where the chemical reactions happen. So this is where chemical reactions happen. Now, if you are in secondary school, you will learn a lot more information about each part of the cell. I can't even write this here. Where chemical, I think my felt pen is not, it doesn't have a tip. Chemical reactions happen. Where chemical reactions happen. Okay, so we've got the boss, we've got the workers, and then the final one is going to be the windows and the doors of the office. So remember, the windows and doors allow deliveries to come in. They allow oxygen and air to come in, fresh air to come in. They allow people to leave and people to enter. So the windows and doors are really important in our office. And similarly, they're also important in our cell because they allow things to come in and out. What kind of things will go into the cell? Well, oxygen will go into the cell and carbon dioxide will come out. Okay, we'll have fresh blood coming in, fresh blood coming and the waste products coming out. So we've got the windows and doors. And this is going to be the cell membrane. So that's the cell. And we're going to write here membrane. Okay, so we've got the cell membrane over here. So these are the three main features that you find in an animal cell and you also find in a plant cell. Okay, so let's first of all get this stuck down. So who have we got watching? We've got Nadia watching, we've got Neelam watching, we've got Saima, we've got Nahid. Hi guys, let me know where you guys are. If I'm going too fast, let me know and I can slow down a bit. So let's stick this down then. So this is our animal cell. I'm just going to put some glue at the back of that. And then we're going to draw some arrows to label each of these areas. So we're going to be sticking this over here like this. And I'm going to then stick the plant. Now with the plant cell, you want to leave some spaces here because we're going to have some, oh, we don't want to stick this yet. Don't stick the plant cell yet because we've got some other stuff we need to do to that. But let's first of all stick these areas down. So this is going to be the boss. I'm going to be sticking this over at the top. Now I'll be able to draw an arrow to label it on my animal cell, but I can't yet on my plant cell because we're not done with the plant cell. So we've got the boss. Next, we're going to have the workers. So let's do that. So we're going to stick this over here. This is the workers. And then finally, we're going to have the windows and doors. So I'm going to grab some glue and we're going to stick the final bit. And that's going to go over here. Okay, so let's draw some arrows. So this, we're only going to do it for the animal for the time being. So we've got the boss is going to be my nucleus. So we're going to draw an arrow leading to the nucleus there. Next, we've got the workers. The workers are the cytoplasm. This is all the yellow area over here. So I'm going to draw an arrow going over here. And then finally, we've got the windows and doors, and that's the cell membrane. It allows things to come in and out. So this is the black outline that you see over here. So I'm going to draw an arrow to the black bit there. Okay, so this is your animal cell. So let's have a little recap. I'm going to unshare my screen now, and we're going to do some Kung Fu science, and we're going to make some movement with each of these key words. Okay, so let me unshare. Okay, so you guys can see me now. Let me get that central. So the first thing that we need to note is each of these key words has got an action that we're going to do. And this is going to help you guys to remember what they are. So first of all, we have got the nucleus. So if I say the nucleus, we're going to go nucleus because that is the boss of the cell. So I want you to have your most boss look. So we're going to fold our arms and we're going to give a very stern look to look like a boss. Okay, so when I say nucleus, we're going to go nucleus. Okay, so I can't see you guys. So I'm going to be looking really silly here, but you guys need to do the actions with me as well at the same time. So next is going to be the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm are the workers. So we're going to pretend that we're typing lots of things. So when I say cytoplasm, you're going to do this particular action. So if I say cytoplasm, we're going to pretend that we're workers and we're working away, typing away at the laptop or keyboard, or in the past, they would have used typewriters. Okay, next we're going to have the windows and doors. And the key word here is cell membrane. So if I say cell membrane, we're going to pretend to be windows and doors. So I'm going to be a door. So this is cell membrane. Right, let's do a little recap. We've got nucleus. We've got cytoplasm. And the final one is cell membrane, which is going to allow things to come in and out of the cell. Right, so this is really interesting now. Where animal and plant cells differ is that plant cells have got extra features, okay? So imagine now we have an office, but it's got extra security. So what could we have around an office to give it extra security? Well, we might have big, huge metal fence around the office, around the external walls of the office, and that would provide some extra security. So the plant cell has something called a cell wall, and you can imagine that as being extra security fence all the way around. So when I say cell wall, we're going to go cell wall, and it's this huge extra security fences all the way around our plant cell, and we're going to be actually drawing that in a second. Next thing, now if we have all of this extra security around our plant cell, it's not going to be easy to send things in and out of the office. Okay, so the deliveries are not going to be coming in and out so frequently. So what else we need is that these office workers are going to need to have some supplies already to hand. Right, so they're going to need some water supply. They're going to need to be able to cook their food internally rather than getting takeout. So we have two extra special features in a plant cell that we don't in an animal cell. One of them you can say is like a refrigerator. You can keep your water, you can keep some food in there, you can keep some nutrients in there. Okay, and that's a big feature that you find inside of a plant cell, and we call that vacuole. So when I say vacuole, where we can then, what shall we do? What action shall we have for a vacuole? Well, a vacuole is where a vacuole is like a fridge. So this is filled with cell sap. So when you kind of break a leaf or a stem, you might have this kind of liquid coming out, and it's a cell sap that's coming out of the vacuole. So what we can do here is we can do, let's do a little sign, let's do a little movement which indicates maybe food or water. So for vacuole, I'm going to be drinking some water, because the vacuole is like a fridge. That's where you keep all the refreshments and the nutrients to keep yourselves going. Because of this extra security fence around our plant cell, it's harder to get takeouts, right? Or take-ins, should I say. So then what we need to do is to have this refrigerator. Now, the third thing that we're going to be needing is the ability to make our own food. Okay, the ability to actually cook, because the workers can't come in and out. We can't get food coming in and out on a regular basis. So we're going to need some ovens. And our chloroplasts, we've got little chloroplasts all the way around our plant cell. We're going to draw those in a second. That is where the food gets made in a plant cell through the process of photosynthesis. Okay, so let's go back now. Oh, we need a little action to go with our chloroplasts. So chloroplast is where the food is cooking. So we're going to do some signs of like flames. We can do flames. We're cooking food, maybe on a barbecue, maybe on an oven. We can make that up. So let's do a quick little recap before I share my screen again. So the first one is nucleus. Nucleus is the boss of the cell. It controls everything that happens in a cell. Next, what we have is cytoplasm. Cytoplasm are like workers in an office. Okay, that's where all the chemical reactions happen in an office. Third one, Cell membrane. Cell membrane are like the windows and doors of the office. They allow things to enter and leave the cell. Next, what we have is the cell wall around a plant cell. This is the extra security fence that we have that stops things from entering and leaving and creates a very rigid looking plant cell, which is why we have a rectangular looking plant cell. Okay. Next, what we have is the refrigerator, where we keep all the refreshments, or in the case of a plant cell, it's where the cell sap is and the nutrients are kept there. And the final bit is the chloroplast. The chloroplast is where, through the process of photosynthesis, the plant cell is able to make food. So we're going to make like smoke, making a barbecue, a smoke symbol there. So let me share again with you my screen, and we're going to just finish off the words now. I forgot to write stuff in here. So let's say here, it allows things to enter and leave the cell. Okay, so let's do that over here now. Allows things to enter and leave. Enter and leave the cell. Okay, so we've got the boss, the nucleus of the cell. We have the workers, or the cytoplasm. We have the windows and doors, or the cell membrane. And next, what we need to do now is to put the security fence, the cell wall. We need to put the chloroplast, the oven, and we need to do the refrigerator, or the vacuole. So we need to add some extra features on here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to add the security fence. So I'm going to grab a different color. I'm going to stick my plant cell on top, and I'm going to give a very thick looking security fence around this. So let's grab my glue. We're going to stick this onto our piece of paper. Let's do that over here. Okay, and then I'm going to cut around this, and you might want to grab a piece of a pencil to just to draw what you're going to be cutting, because it'll just make your life slightly easier. So this, this is my security fence all the way around, or we call it the cell wall. So let's cut this out now. And guys, once you've finished all your drawings, please, and your craft work, do share them, because I'd love to see what yours look like. So let's cut around this all the way around. And I'm going to be sticking that there in a second. Okay, now I need to leave enough space around here because I've got three other little tabs that I need to stick here to explain what's happening. So I might cut this slightly thinner just so I've got a little bit of space. So let me just go around it again. So this is my cell wall. All the way around, like that. So this here is the cell wall. Okay, next we're going to put the chloroplast. So the chloroplast, remember I said, is where the food gets made. That's the process of photosynthesis. It contains chlorophyll, which is a green pigment in the plant cell, and that gives it the green color in the leaves that we see. Now, chloroplasts, you don't find chloroplasts in roots. That's why they're not green. You don't find chloroplasts in all plants, which is why the green color comes from the chloroplast. So what I'm going to do with the chloroplast is I'm going to grab some green, and I'm going to draw some little green ovals like this. And these are going to go all the way around here. So I'm just going to draw them in pencil, first of all, like this. And then we're going to cut these out. So remember, these are like the ovens or the microwaves or the barbecues where all the food gets made. So I'm going to grab that And then I'm going to cut these out. I'm going to go all the way around like this. Okay, and this is going to take a little while. So we're going to do this. Now, the last thing that's left is the vacuole, and we're going to do that in a little while. So I'm going to just let you catch up, guys. So who at the moment is doing this right now with me? Who's creating their animal and plant cells at the same time? Or are you just watching for information and then you're going to be doing it later? Let me know, guys. Let's stick this over here. Let's do another one. Like this. And we're going to do another one. All the way around. I don't know how many we're going to be able to fit in. I'm going to turn them over so you can't see the pencil lines. So we have, and I'm not going to stick them yet until I've done the vacuole as well, because I don't know how much space that will take. So these here are chloroplasts, and they contain chlorophyll. And I'm using green specifically to try and use green for this because this is actually green. They have a green pigment in here. Okay, so we're going to cut this out. Now, next session, we're going to be looking at blood cells. Now, blood cells are found in animals. They're not found in plants, they're found in animals. So there's certain features here which are very similar to a blood cell. But a blood cell doesn't contain a nucleus, and we're going to find out why next session. So I'm going to stick that there. Let's cut a few more out. This is so fiddly, and this is great at developing fine motor skills. I love doing cutting and sticking because it helps kids to develop their fine motor skills, and it'll ultimately help them with handwriting as well. So here we can cut. So do let your own kids cut them rather than taking over and doing it for them, because it's a really good skill to have. So let's put that there, and we're going to do another one. Going to go around. Oops, you can't see me cutting. Let's put that over here. And one more. So how many have I done? I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can do as many or as little as you like. They just need to be covering the outside, well, creating a little border on our chloroplast. They're creating a border on the cytoplasm. I'm getting all my words mixed up now. So cytoplasm is this yellow bit. These are our chloroplasts, and they should be bordering like this. They need to be on the yellow area, okay? And they're going to look something like that. And you could maybe put another one there if you wanted to, or I can move one of these over here. Okay, and spread these around. Now, the thing that's missing now is our refrigerator or our vacuole. Now, our refrigerator, I'm going to put down here, but instead of cutting it out, I'm actually going to draw this now. So I'm going to grab my brown, and I'm just going to draw a long, it looks like a pond in the middle of a garden. This looks like the bird eye view of a garden. We've got like a pond. This could be like a table, and we've got plants all the way around. Right, let's color that in. There we go. And we're going to stick down the chloroplasts now. I'm going to grab my glue, and let's stick these. We've got one. And we're going to have another one. Look how beautiful this looks. And I'll show you one that I've done earlier where I actually used a color piece of paper for the background. And you can see how you can create some really colorful and nice looking notes. And we haven't even written that much, but what you've learned here is amazing. So let's stick this down. Let's stick another one. We're going to do one more over here. We're going to do so fiddly. We're going to do another one. And final few left. And then we're going to be labeling these final features Okay. Let's do. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is stick this down. So all that's stuck, like, whoops, she says, I've got one missing. Let's stick that final one down. So all of this should be stuck on there so it doesn't fall off now. And then I'm going to turn this over. Let's put some glue around the back. And I'm going to end up sticking this over here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is also label each of these features on my plant cell. So first thing is the boss. The boss is the nucleus here. So I'm going to draw an arrow and I'm going to go over here and do a little arrow. Now I might go over these with a black outline so the arrows stand out a bit more, especially when they're going over colored paper. So let's do that there. Like that. Let's do the same over here. Make it look nicer. Let's do the same over here. And you can use whatever colors you like. The only restriction is just use green for the chloroplasts. Everything else, you can be whatever color you like. And then this final arrow over here, and then I'm going to do the final 3 labels. I also need to point out where the cytoplasm and the cell membrane is on my plant cell. So this is the cytoplasm. Remember, the cytoplasm is where the workers are, where they're doing all the hard work. And we said it was the yellow area on the animal cell and also the yellow area on the plant cell. Now, this arrow here is pointing to the actual nucleus, this bit. Okay, now I want to now point, maybe I could have taken that arrow slightly in. So this is actually this bit. Now I'm going to do an arrow for the yellow area. And I might do one over here. I'm just going to point the yellow. So it's not pointing at the green, it's just the yellow area. You can't see that going over the purple. So I'm just going to outline that again. There we go. And then the final one that I've already not got on here that's not labeled yet is the cell membrane. The cell membrane is the outer bit of the cytoplasm. Okay, so I'm going to grab my felt tip and I'm going to point to the outer yellow area there. Okay, and I'm going to just put some arrows like this. Right, final 3 areas now. We've got the cell wall, which is the purple bit. We've got the chloroplast, which is the green bit, and we've got the vacuole. So I need to create 3 more of these cards. So I've got 1 because I had 1 cut earlier, and I'm going to create 2 more. So I'm going to use my, oh, I want them the same size. How do I get them the same size? So I think if I fold it this way, it'll be the same size, I reckon, or roughly. Yeah. Okay. So I've got some blue paper, light blue paper that I've folded. And I'm going to cut. There we go. So I've got 3 more over here. And we're going to label these with the cell wall, the vacuole. And again, I'm going to check my spelling because my spelling's awful. So let's grab my felt tip pen. And we're going to do, first of all, the oven or the barbecue or the microwaves. Remember, that's where the food is made in the plant cell, because a plant cell has extra security guards, security fence all the way around it. So food can't come easily in and out. So what we need to do is to have some supply of food internally. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to call this the oven, or the ovens, because there's loads of them. This is where the food is being made. And these are the chloroplasts. Okay, so I'm going to write over here chloroplasts. Okay, there's a couple of things here. They contain chlorophyll and they absorb sunlight to make food through the process of photosynthesis. So there's a lot of information there. So I'm going to write a few things. So we're going to, the first thing is going to be it contains chloro. Let's get the spelling right. Chlorophyll. That's one. Next one is it absorbs sunlight and makes food through the process of photosynthesis. So we can say absorbs sunlight and makes food. Are we going to be able to fit the makes food? And makes food. Okay, so copy that down. There's a lot there. So I'm going to give you a minute just to copy that down. So we've done lots of bits today that we've been learning. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. Let's have a look at this. For some reason, I'm not getting all of your messages until I click out and come back in. So let's have a look at what we've said. Nadia is saying, I'm watching for information. This is very useful. When's the next session? The next session is next week at the same time. Agnes is saying, this is amazing, fun learning. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So let's get this stuck down now. So make sure you've copied all that information. Keyword here is chloroplast, and it contains chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the green pigment that you find in here, and it's really useful because it helps the plant to make food. Okay, so we're going to get that stuck in, and then what we're going to do is to do the final two. So just copy that down, guys, and let's see what we're going to do next. So the next bit now, I'm going to get this stuck. Let's stick. So next time you do a session, now you know that I do it very interactively. Have the things ready. Prepare to have the things ready, and you can follow the steps as I'm doing them. Because it gets a bit boring just listening when I'm making stuff. You're going to get a bit jealous, right? So you guys need to make stuff at the same time. Right, so we've got the oven, and this is a chloroplast. So all the green bits, and we're not going to be able to draw arrows to all the green bits, but I can draw them to a couple that are close to this. So we can draw one over here, one over here. Maybe I can draw one, two over here as well. So all the green bit, this is why we've color coded it. So all the green bits are your chloroplasts. And I'm going to grab, I'm thinking I might want to use a thicker black pen. Oh yeah, that's better. So I think I'm going to go over this at the end to make it look nice and cool. So let's do that. I'm going to color this in. And then you can keep this nice and safe. And as you grow older, you can build on that knowledge, because there's lots of content that you will learn when you get to secondary school. You learn that these cells have other bits and pieces in them as well. Okay. And then what you can do is you can add to this. But you've got the basis though, and that's the important bit. You've got the foundations in place. It's like knowing the numbers and then building up on them and being able to do lots of cool stuff. So here we've got the oven. Next, we're going to have the fridge. The fridge. So let me write over here, the fridge. So remember we said that we called it the fridge because the fridge stores stuff. So you've got the vacuole here, which is storing nutrients for the plant cell. And this is where we have the cell sap as well. So I'm going to write over here, vacuole. This is a difficult spelling. Vacuole. Vacuole. And the vacuole is filled with cell sap. And it contains nutrients for the cell. Shamila's watching our Richard. Hi, guys. So let's stick this over here. And then the final one is our security fence. So remember, we said the difference, the main difference between an animal and a plant cell is it's got that extra layer of security. And because of that security, we then have the vacuole and then the ovens, so the fridges and the ovens, to allow the workers to be able to have food. So I need to watch what I'm saying and writing, because I'll end up writing what I'm saying in a second. So security fence. And this is the technical term, the scientific term for this is the cell wall. Okay, and the cell wall is there to give support. So it gives support to the cell. And this is why the shape of this is different from this, because the yellow bit is like jelly-like. So without the cell wall, this would also look like an animal cell. So gives support to the cell. There we go. Okay. And then what we can do is we can start to stick these on. I've just seen Richard's message. This is really nicely annotated. The lessons are very fun and engaging. I enjoy it. I secretly enjoy doing this, probably more than like the kids enjoy it. And the kids don't enjoy it as well. But I think I enjoy it more. So let's stick this here. I get to do art in science. How cool is that? So if your child is very creative, this is a great way to get them engaged with any subject. You can do this with literally any, but science lends itself really nicely to this because there's loads of drawings and there's loads of things which allow you to be creative. So let's now draw an arrow going to the vacuole. And now I'm going to go over and color that in. There we go. And you could even cut out these arrows rather than drawing them if you want it to look nice and cool. And the security fence is the purple bit here. So I'm going to draw an arrow to the purple section. So this is pointing to the edge of the yellow. This is pointing to the actual purple section here. And then the final bit, I'm going to go over everything in black felt tip. And then the final bit is we're going to recap all of the Kung Fu moves because I think that's nice and fun to do. And I'm going to look silly. I don't care. And I want you guys to also do the actions at home. And this includes Richard and Charlotte and Agnes. You guys are going to have to do the actions and send me a video because I want to see what you guys are doing, if you're doing them right. So let's have a look at this. I'm going to draw this over here, just go over this so it looks nice and cool. And my final arrow that needs outlining is this one over here. And I'm done. Okay, so this is, and you can color this in, but this is our work on cells. We've got an animal cell over here. You've got the nucleus, which is which controls the cell. You've got the cytoplasm, where all the chemical reactions happen. You have the cell membrane, which allows things to come in and out of the cell. You have the chloroplasts, which is where photosynthesis happens. So all of these green bits are the chloroplasts. You have the vacuole. The vacuole is where the cell sap is and where the nutrients are stored. You also have the cell wall, which supports the cell and gives it its rigid shape. Okay, so you've got lots and lots of features over here. So what we're going to do now is the final bit, which is a little game to see how many of the actions you remember. And this is what makes science really, this is what makes this kind of science accessible to really young kids as well. If you do it creatively and you put actions in, kids as young as 4 and 5 can also do this work. Okay, so let me stop sharing so you can see me. And we're going to do the actions for the final bit. So first of all, guys, we have the boss, the nucleus. The nucleus of the cell controls everything that's happening. And we're going to find out why blood cells don't have a boss next week. Okay, next we have cytoplasm. Cytoplasm are the workers. They're working away. And I'm going to do this in a different order in a second, and we'll see how much you remember. Third bit is the cell wall. The cell wall? Nope. Cell membrane. Cell membrane allows things to come in and out of the cell. Okay, and both animal and plant cells have a cell membrane. Right, fourth bit. What was this? This is the ovens, or we can say it's maybe a microwave, or we can say maybe we're having a barbecue, but these are the chloroplasts. Okay, the chloroplasts allow the sun to be absorbed. So the sun, let me do that again. The chloroplasts absorb the sunlight, and they then produce food for the plant cells. Okay, so we're going to do this action for the chloroplasts. And then we have the refrigerator or the vacuole. I'm going to be drinking water because we're storing drinks in the fridge to keep them nice and cool. That's where you find the cell sap. And then finally, we have the cell wall, which gives the plant cell a rigid support. Okay, support structure. Right, now this is the game bit where I'm going to call out a word and I'm going to see if you guys remember what the action is and what the description is that goes with it. Okay, so I want you guys to take part, and if you get it right, let me know. And well done if you're getting it right. But let's do this together. So first one, what is the vacuole? What's the action for a vacuole? Who remembers? So a vacuole was the refrigerator. It keeps all the nutrients stored, and that's where the cell sap is. Right, next one. What was that? The cytoplasm. Okay, so I gave you the action this time and you had to guess the word. So the cytoplasm is where all the chemical reactions happen. Next one, I'm going to give you the word and you need to find out what the action is for this. The cell membrane. What is the cell membrane? So the cell membrane allows things to come in and out of the cell. Right, another one. Let's do the nucleus. The nucleus. The nucleus is the boss of the cell. Okay, it controls everything that's happening in the cell. Right, next one is what's left? Cell wall. Who knows what the cell wall does? The cell wall gives support to the cell and gives it the rigid look. And the final one, I think it's this one that's left now. I'm going to do the sign and you need to kind of tell me what it is. What's this? The chloroplast. The chloroplast contains a green pigment called chlorophyll. Okay, it absorbs sunlight and it produces food for the cell through the process of photosynthesis. Okay, so this, guys, is our session on cells. I'm going to show you one that I did earlier. So if you wanted to do this on a colored piece of paper, let me just pull this camera up slightly so you can see my screen, my full screen better. So I've got this. I did this one earlier. I did it on colored paper. So you can do it on colored paper, you can do it on white paper, but the content is the same. You can do it any way you like, label it, have fun with it, and take lots of notes from it as well. And then you go away and build on it, because there's so much work that you can do from using this as the starting point. Because you could look at cell organization. And I'm going to quickly show you some notes because you might find this useful. Cell organization. We have a single cell. So this was our single plant cell. In this particular case, it's a specific type of cell. It's a palisade cell. Okay. Now, when you have lots of these cells, we call it a tissue. So a group of similar cells, all doing the same function, are called tissue. Now, when we have lots of these tissue cells, tissues together, which contain lots of cells, a group of different tissues becomes an organ. So here we've got palisade cells. Here we've got, palisade tissue, I should say. And then we've got loads of palisade cells in that. Then we've got another tissue, and together that creates an organ. And this particular organ is a leaf. Okay. Leaf is an organ of a plant. We can use a microscope. My little fantastic drawing of a microscope over here. We can use a microscope to have a look at these cells. So if you can get your hand on a microscope, brilliant. What I will do is leave a link in the comment section on where you can get hold of a pocket microscope. Now, I don't have one with me here, but if you use a pocket microscope, you don't need any of those expensive microscopes. And you can literally, you don't even need to create a slide. You can literally put it on your hand and have a look at the cells on your hand, which I think is quite cool. Now, the different types of organs, when you put them together, they become an organ system. So we're familiar with the digestive system, the circulatory system. All of those are systems because they contain lots of organs, they contain lots of tissues, they contain lots of different cells. And this is what's really interesting, that you've got a similar sort of structure when it comes to plants as well. So there's so much extra stuff that you could be doing around this topic of cells. But before we go, let me just quickly show you my microscope. So this is not a pocket microscope. This is a standard microscope. Now, the way that a standard microscope works is you need to have a slide for your cells. So here, this is, there's some tissue here of leaf cells, and we've got loads of them over here, but you need to have these slides. And these are a pain to do, especially if you just want to have some fun and have a look at cells under a microscope. So I advise that you get a pocket microscope, because the way that a typical microscope works like this is that you have a light shining from underneath, which then when you look through the eyepiece allows you to see the cell. Okay, so it needs to be very thin for the light to actually go through, and you able to be able to see it. With a pocket microscope, your light is here. So you don't need to have a transparent piece of tissue. You can literally place a pocket microscope on your hand, on your clothes. So you can put it on your clothes. You can see the weaves on my clothes. You could put it on your watch. You could put it on like tissue and card, and you can see the little fibers that are making up this piece of paper. And that's what makes pocket microscopes really exciting. So I will leave a link behind so you can have a look at purchasing that if you would like, and have fun creating your own cool looking design of cells. And I'll see you guys next time at the same time. Bye. Bye, guys.